what are you talking? We are journalists. We are of
Yeah, sorry.
interest.
That's
We're quite high profile.
Sorry, not me.
Everyone's special. Hello, this is the Cyber News Weekly podcast. This time, we once again look at the tactics used by Russian hackers, reveal fresh bad news about Pegasus, and save humanity together with a sexless potato, aka Sam Altman. Hi, my name is Ginteras. I'm a senior journalist here at Cyber News, and this is Neve.
Hi.
And this is Jurgita, our boss. No sounds from her today. Okay.
Just a few.
Right. We begin with the Russian hackers. So, a hacking group linked to Russia's Federal Security Service, better known as FSB, has been stealthily relying on the tools and infrastructure of at least 6 other threat actors for the past 7 years. This is a revelation from Microsoft Threat Intelligence. But what does it mean in human speak? Jurgita will explain to us.
What it means is that, they are FSB leeches, essentially,
What's the news then?
There are some news here. I mean, the tactics, they are not really new, but this is quite uncommon for Russian, hackers, especially state-sponsored ones. And this group, Secret Blizzard, now it's been discovered that it's been using tools and servers of another threat actor in Pakistan, right? And they kind of infiltrated networks of another threat actor to spy on Afghanistan and India and gather politically sensitive information that is of strategic interest to Kremlin. Now, we can only speculate here, what is so strategic here and what information they were after when, spying on Afghanistan and India, but we know Russia has interest there, right? And what this Secret Blizzard hacking group is doing, they are using other threat actors' infrastructure to get that sensitive information and then probably pass it on to political circles back in Moscow. So why they do that? First of all, that's kind of effortless way to spy on someone. So they were able to access files that already been stolen, like very sensitive files, and so they didn't need that much effort to do that. Also, they were, able not to rely on their own tools, meaning it's way easier to hide your own tracks, to cover your own tracks when you do that, right? And it's not even clear whether that Pakistani threat actor even knew that Russians were inside their infrastructure. So you are using, tools built by other hacking groups for your own benefit, and it's very hard to track you and to even kind of point fingers that it's been Russians because they've been relying on another infrastructure, not of their own. And this is the Pakistani case now, but Microsoft said that they've been doing that for at least 7 years, and they infiltrated very different threat actors in countries where Russia has some political interest and essentially conducts espionage operations. So that is quite curious. And Microsoft is saying that they are gonna increasingly rely on such tactics. And I'm talking not only about Secret Blizzard, but also other, Russian hacking groups, because in the world they are, judged, and companies like Microsoft and others point fingers to Russian hackers, kind of figuring them out. And this is way harder to do when they are hiding their tracks.
In theory, though, if the Russians can do it, can't, other countries do it, or hackers associated with other countries do it? Like, there have been stories about Americans jumping onto infrastructure created by foreign criminal groups, executing attacks or whatnot, breaches, or stealing sensitive information. But then because they used an infrastructure by a threat actor, or what they call a threat actor, an aggressive or hostile foreign actor, they can blame them when actually that were Americans that did the attack.
This is very gray zone, right? Nothing is quite legal here, and I guess every state hacker, whether just supported by state, as in Russia they operate, or in the US's case where they are directly employed by the government organizations, right? You need to assess the risks and the dangers, right? There's a reason many companies and governments decide to build their own tools to hack into governmental systems elsewhere, because when you are using a third party, there's like a third party risk. You might be
You have deniability, basically.
yeah, I mean, this is very tricky. You need to have your own tools, but then if you use them, and if you, like in the US's case, if you use your own 0 days, and then you get busted, then you can't use them anymore. Here, if you rely on a third party, you are putting a lot of trust in what they can do and how they operate, and then how sustainable is that information, especially when we're talking about espionage operations. They are long-term. Obviously, in many cases, they go on for years and years, because this is not a financially motivated threat actor. Essentially, what they're doing, they're just lurking in the systems, in the networks, to gather intelligence for as many years as they can, right? So you want that chain to be sustainable, and you want to stay out of the radar here.
Yeah. Though, wouldn't it be the U.S. government's job to catch these operations and not Microsoft's? Or do we think that they're actually working in tandem?
There are a lot of known cases of cooperation between the government and security companies, and usually it's not only one company, but in this case also there was another company involved, and sometimes you see joint operations by CISA and then at least 4 industry players with strong cybersecurity knowledge and portfolio. Now in this case, who is supposed to catch Russian hackers spying in the East? I guess that's none of our business, right? And we see this operation happening. It's Afghanistan, India, Pakistan that we are talking about. There's also been operation in, let's say, Uzbekistan before. So it's not. It's not operations within the U.S. that someone can catch. It's more, I think this is more of a reconnaissance kind of intelligence that Microsoft is doing here, trying to understand overall how different Russian hacking groups operate, and then to see whether they can use that knowledge and know how to go after them in the U.S., given that they might be, in some of the governmental maybe systems, and we know, that Russian hackers are after government systems, but also private companies like defense contractors, right? And for the U.S., it's also very sensitive here.
Mm-hmm. How are there? Is there information about how this kind of method was caught, detected by Microsoft?
It wasn't detailed, I guess, and that's the first thing that I, questioned myself at the beginning. Okay, so if there are Russian hackers who infiltrated Pakistan hackers, without them knowing, we don't know for sure that they didn't know, but probably it was possible, at least in the beginning, to kind of stay out of the radar, undetected. And then that's not really different how security researchers operate. They also infiltrate different groups, different criminal organizations, just to kind of have their eyes and ears in there. But also, whenever any particular hacking case becomes evident, then they have some breadcrumbs they can follow and they can investigate. Essentially, it's very technical, but they also do infiltrate, and they follow specific cases of cyber attacks.
Yeah, because my idea is also maybe the Russian threat actors, in this case, they actually worked with the Pakistani threat actor, and they knew perfectly well that the Russians were sort of borrowing, the infrastructure or not to execute attacks, or obviously they wanted to know what's going on in Afghanistan because this was going on for 7 years. That's the kind of a period when Joe Biden decided to get out of Afghanistan, and then Taliban came back to power. So Russians needed to see what's going to happen basically, and to develop this working relationship with the Taliban that they have now, and that's important to the Russians. Yeah. But I mean, maybe the Pakistanis, which are also very, very closely connected to all the ongoings in Afghanistan, so maybe the Pakistani threat actors is also associated with the state of Pakistan.
No one knows.
Then,
at least there is no evidence at this point, that they are cooperating their actions. They might, but also we need to remember that these hacker groups, state-sponsored hacker groups, and even the financially motivated ones, ransomware gangs, they operate just as any other business. They have pretty much the same rules. They have all the supply chain, software as a service, ransomware as a service, right? And they're also humans, right? You can get into their systems undetected if you are smart and you are know what you are doing, right? So the level of sophistication here, I guess, is quite impressive, unless, as you say, they coordinated their actions. We don't really know, or, U.S. intelligence might know way more. This is just the crumbs that we get, publicly.
Yeah, because I wonder who's feeding Microsoft as well with this bits of information, because precisely that might be the U.S. intelligence cooperating with the private researchers and giving them bits, and maybe check that out and develop a theory of what's going on and help us out. This is a private-public relationship that's perfectly normal in the US, I guess.
Yeah, we've interviewed Chester Vishnevsky a few times. He's a senior intelligence analyst, if I'm not mistaken, at Sophos, huge cybersecurity company. And I once asked him, what are the reasons why companies publish these blogs, right? It seems that you are sending those threat actors a signal that you know what they are doing, and then they need to adapt and change tactics just because something they've been doing has become public, right? And what he said to me essentially is that a lot of information is not being disclosed and it stays secret, right? And they're releasing some details, some tactics and procedures to kind of help other cybersecurity companies and experts, recognize when something is happening, to kind of get those signals that, let's say, a hacker might be in your system. So they, as far as I understand, they release, and what they release is just like the tip of an iceberg, and we don't really know what's underneath the water here, and we can only speculate.
Yeah. This is obviously, of course, not the first time threat actors of any origin have been found riding on others' shoulders, basically. So Cozy Bear, that's another Russia-linked group, had been using cyber weapons because, as we all know, if a cyber weapon is out there, someone's probably gonna at least try to ride it, so to speak. So they've been using weapons developed by commercial and legal surveillance companies such as NSO Group and Intellexa. Speaking of NSO Group, they have this cyber weapon or spyware tool called
Pegasus.
Yes, and this is what our next story is about. So, what's going on with Pegasus? We know it's a tool. It's a quite terrifying one. That means that this can be turned on and off remotely, and it can film it. It can record audio without me even knowing it's happening.
Yeah.
Or your phone. Yeah. Well, it's the
Anyone's
same.
phone. Well, kind of. Not really, but
Kind of, not really. Yeah, nice.
good,
Go on.
good introduction. Kind of, not really. Well, from what I've read up about it, I'll go into the iVerify. So there's this company called iVerify who conducted an initial investigation on 2,500 devices of people who wanted to have their devices scanned for Pegasus. And what returned was that 7 of these devices had been infected by Pegasus, which is, I think, the highest rate that
7 out of
7 out of 2,500, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is apparently significant in the kind of where we're at with our digital device security.
But
Now,
who are
maybe-
those people?
They were a pool of high-profile individuals, so it wasn't like you or me. Well,
Saying
We
we're
are.
not-
What
are,
are you
yeah.
talking? We are journalists. We are of
yeah, sorry,
interest.
that's yeah.
We're quite high profile.
Okay, sorry. I'm just talking as if we're everyday human beings.
No.
No,
Not
but
me.
we're not.
Sorry, not me.
Everyone's special.
But yeah, so it's a high-profile pool of people like politicians, journalists, like us, and government officials and high-profile executives of corporations. So these are the people that you want to know. You know, you want to know where the journalist sources are, so you could maybe interrogate them or like do something awful. Or you want to know what's going on in the high-profile executives' infrastructure, whatever. So yeah, they did this test, and it turned up seven infected Pegasus devices, all ranging from like 2023 to 2021. So they didn't know that their devices were infected for that long. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't necessarily think it's anything that like the general public would need to worry about because of how expensive it is to run. So it's like the New York Times said but this was in 2016, so it might be that prices have changed, said that to infect 10 devices, I believe Apple devices, costs around $650,000.
All right. So if you're like a
Dollars.
smaller country, be it authoritarian or not, like we've had scandals in Poland, Hungary, which are pretty average sized countries. So if they want to surveil digitally their opponents or whatnot, they have to do it selectively because they can't afford. Well, they can obviously.
Yeah, but if the data is from 8 years,
There was I couldn't find any up-to-date data.
yeah,
on.
but there were a lot of significant, developments in technology from there. I mean, this Pegasus is scary because essentially it's a zero-click attack, right? So it means you don't really even have to be stupid or reckless or, click on any link accidentally. If they want to spy on you, they will. Yes,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, they are targeted attacks, and there have been reports, right, on so many countries buying that spyware from the Israeli company. But what this, still limited research, but what it showed that, the number of how many phones might have been infected is higher than ever thought
Yes.
before, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and let's not forget, if you're everyday human now, maybe you do something, you uncover, a corruption scandal, or you become a whistleblower or whatnot, and then you suddenly become a much higher profile person, and then you're suddenly a person of interest to, maybe the government or or foreign government. Who knows? I mean, yeah. So
Or maybe not even directly, like you have a high-profile aunt or uncle, or someone you are
you're a
hanging
third
out
party.
with.
You're a third party.
Yeah, and that person who is high profile, they might be careful already, right? Because like politicians, high profile ones, they get instructions, when they need to leave their phone, they have extra layers of protection on governmental phones, and they might not even have sensitive information there. But you, for example, being around them could, be way more relaxed about all that. And then, kind of text to your friends something about what you've heard, from that high profile figure and whatnot. As kind of...
Also, it can just listen to you, presumably.
It can do everything.
The software can just, it can see you through your camera. It can turn on your microphone and listen to what you're talking about, can, infiltrate your calls and text messages. There was this one case, and I've forgotten where, but a journalist's wife's phone was infected with Pegasus. So like you were saying, it's
and I mean, not the company itself, but probably they do it to the clients when they talk about the product. But it's pretty well known that it's like it can vanish without a trace, without being detected. But then my question is, and it's probably not going to produce an answer because there's none yet. But okay, so the information by iVerify is from at least a couple of 3 years ago, right? These individuals. This is not the
research is
scam.
new, but they were being spied on.
But way back when,
Not way back when. It was 3 years.
Yeah, so like it could be 2023 or 2022, 2021.
Yeah. So okay. So but if NSO Group says or at least it markets it to the clients that our tool Pegasus can do its work and then vanish without a trace and not be detected, how then has iVerify detect that the phones had been infected in the past?
I think like with anything, like with any virus or any malware or whatever, they do leave behind data. I found when I was reading something from Amnesty International that because they do a lot of work around this for obvious reasons, they were saying that you can identify certain signs. There are certain telltale signs like connecting to certain servers or unusual traffic because it's something about the data is exfiltrated and connects to different servers or different whatever. So there's unusual activity basically on your phone. I'm not sure if it's the case where people could pinpoint it to Pegasus directly, but I think it's more like there's something malicious going on here.
Okay.
And
but also it's just Pegasus. I mean, we all know it and talk about it because it's been, kind of under the spotlight because of all the scandals with government and whatnot. But this is, just drop in the ocean when it comes to all the kind of spying apps and software. Some of it is less sophisticated, be it like spying apps that kind of disguise as some, let's say, a system control app on your phone that you are never, touching because you think it's just, for system purposes and it's being used by domestic abusers, let's say spouses, and then they might need physical access to install that, but also we know that other governments are doing that too. So they are either buying some software, or relying on, let's say, 0 days,
Yes.
and this is the problem with the whole spyware industry because governments are sitting on the knowledge of these 0-day vulnerabilities that would need to be patched up by the vendors, right? But they just don't know they have it yet. And therefore, governments are exploiting them before, they get discovered. And then only then the vendors are able to kind of patch all those flaws. But before that, it's kind of, it's governments who are sitting on these vulnerabilities and essentially even exploiting them, knowing it, might hurt people. But
yeah, I agree. But also NSO Group is obviously only one of the companies offering such products, and there are many more. I think it's a sophisticated guess. I mean, it cannot be the only one. I mean, we don't probably know their names or profiles or whatnot, but there are probably more.
As in, like, there's more legal ones or illegal ones?
Do you think NSO Group does anything illegal?
I'm sure they probably do.
It's not illegal.
No, but
It has received a lot of negative publicity for a
Yeah,
reason,
because
but
it's related deaths, you know.
yeah, it has really for a reason and justified negative publicity, but it's not illegal.
No, I'm not saying that it is illegal because it's like a not a government-backed thing, but it sells to governments or.
But
The-
it would be the same to say like, oh, Microsoft is illegal or AI is illegal just because, you know, some
Of the
fractors
bad-
actors use it.
Yeah.
Like the program itself is fine. It's actually a very sophisticated one, right? And you can use it for good purposes as
Yeah.
well.
And actually,
Now,
national security would be one of the
yeah.
Or
areas.
terrorism and
But then
yeah.
it gets abused, and that's where the criminality lies.
But it gets abused by the governments.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily, but as far as we're concerned, and as far as we know, governments have been abusing the tool to
Because-
surveil their opponents or journalists.
Yeah, what we know, it's just what we know, you know.
Yeah.
It's just what we know.
Who knows, you know, who infected those 7 people phones, you know, with the spyware. It might not have been the government, right?
Yeah.
Might have
Might
been.
have been their spouse or a mother,
Or some, you know, some
rich mother.
hacker group or private intelligence firm, whatnot. Maybe
Yeah,
some
yeah.
marketers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a new HBO documentary precisely talking about commercial and digital spying. I recommend it very much. It's by Ronan Farrow, a well-known investigative journalist out there in the US. His phone, by the way, was infected with Pegasus. He found out about it somehow.
Boy.
And so he decided to explore what NSO Group was and to talk about cases where people have been spied on. It's interesting, really, because I'm going to read a quote by Ronan Farrow. He says in the film that these people who are selling spyware, be it the NSO Group in Israel or anywhere else, they themselves compare their work to the work of arms dealers, basically. So there's probably no exhibitions like in arms exhibitions, right? But people, you know, go around, fly around, and they talk about their product and trying to sell them and convince the potential clients that this tool can do this or that. You can spy on that person or this person or blah blah blah. And it's a growing market, presumably, because everything's digital now anyways. So like the quote says, like they'll say like, yeah, sure, this is a powerful technology, can be used in destructive ways, but it's not our fault that there's no equivalent of the Geneva Conventions for this tech yet. So, you know, we're just playing by the rules, and there aren't enough rules, and that relates to what Jurgita said. NSO Group doesn't do anything illegal because there's no rules yet, really. So,
But it's technically a weapon, isn't it? In Israel.
Or you can
It's a
kill a
tool.
person with
Like-
a feather as well. So
Yeah.
what is a weapon?
you can use a rope to tie something to your car, or you can use a rope to hang people. So, you know,
Okay.
got it.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, the U.S. federal government, I presume, was trying to buy Pegasus. Oh, well, yeah, from NSO Group, but then, as coincidentally, I guess, the whole publicity thing started off.
I bet they
about
have
Pegasus.
better stuff there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most
well,
definitely.
let's
Didn't
think
Biden
so.
blacklist it?
Well, sorry.
Didn't Biden blacklist Pegasus?
Well, yeah, after the scandals,
Mm-hmm.
the FBI kind of backed off, but they do use something anyway. So,
Surely.
Oh, we know that they are sitting, you know, on a bunch of 0 days, right? And I guess that's another topic, but that's what governments do as well, right? And there's like Zerodium, right? And there are a few other companies, kind of shady ones, but again, not doing anything illegal. It's very gray, everything, you know, and they are trading with governments around the world, right? They are kind of selling those unpatched vulnerabilities. And also there's no law saying, right, that you need to report the flaw that you found first to, you know, let's say Microsoft or Apple or somewhere else. You just find it and it's yours to keep.
Yeah.
You find, you keep.
Right. Okay, Sam Altman,
Oi.
welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so a couple of news items from the OpenAI front lines. They're related, as everything probably is with AI these days. So first, Altman has again spoken publicly about the future of humanity and what the world with artificial general intelligence will look like. And it would seem that compared to his previous statements, which we have discussed and laughed about before, about like learn all physics, fix the climate, invent and then kill off God or whatnot, something like that. You can say anything really. So compared to that, it sounds a bit more down to earth and a little bit subdued, I guess. So he spoke at the New York Times DealBook Summit last week and said that in a much more modest language that, yeah, we will hit AGI, artificial general intelligence, pretty soon and sooner than most people think, but then it will matter much less. So people started wondering, what does it mean? Like, why is he using a little bit less grand language? But it's just probably one of those things. I mean, it's impression you get. I mean, he still speaks about the future as in spectacular or spectacularly terrifying or both. So, and also this could be a marketing trick because according to The Verge, OpenAI intends to kind of stick together its family of large language models and then declare that to be AGI. Voila!
I kind of think that all makes sense, right? If we take something out of context, then you can, think that he's contradicting himself. If we would leap into the future and skip, like, fast forward 10 years, then we would be surprised and shocked and whatnot, and the future would look grand, right? Because so many things would be different, and they will be different. But also what we know is that, we are arriving at the AGI gradually, meaning we are taking a little step every day. And when it's finally here, we might not even notice that as a grand thing because we've been going that way, right? For example, AI girlfriends and all that. It was kind of shocking to us maybe when Phoenix movie Her came out, but now you already see statistics of how many people are having those relationships and what are the troubles. Now it's kind of everyday thing, and because we were coming to this gradually, this no longer surprises, right? But if you would remove 10 years out of the equation here, then you would think okay, how did we get here? And I think that's why it makes sense, right? There's gonna be a lot of breakthroughs in the future, but also we won't feel as they are such a big deal because we will see gradual improvements.
I don't necessarily agree. I explain why.
Whoa.
Because I think AGI is already here. Haha, a controversial statement. But the reason I think that is because we only hear and see and read stuff about AI and AGI. I mean, it's not all that there is there. It's only public statements and by companies, private ones at that as well. I mean, and graduality in this case. AI is something that develops very quickly when it's fed enough data in it, and then if it can learn from itself and adapt, if it can manage to do that, things will evolve very quickly. And these computations that they do, they're happening like trillion times more effectively than what we have now as humans or as classical computers or programs. So if AI manages to reach that level of sophistication of making decisions much more faster than what we are used to, AGI will be there in a second, basically. And the reason I'm saying is it's already there. Well, probably not, or maybe, is because I presume in the U.S. or especially China, when the government sees that stuff is happening with AI, it can be pretty useful for us as a country, as a state. So what they say is like, come here, nerds, let's go down to the bunker and continue the research there and leave it there so that the others wouldn't find out about it, and that way we can get advantage over our adversaries. And I think that's where the real stuff is going on in the underground bunkers. These data centers on the ground, they're the public-facing ones. How many data centers are already being developed under the ground by Beijing, Washington, or whatnot? I mean, it's a national secret type of stuff, basically,
But so what
because
do you think,
it can give you a lot of advantage.
what do you think is going to happen? They're just going to unleash the beast that they already, been hiding for quite a while at one point?
Well, no. I mean, it's like with vulnerabilities like you spoke about before that the governments might hold against other countries. So like zero-day vulnerabilities or whatnot, the cybersecurity stuff, yes. But they can hold that information as in a weight in talking to other countries. So like the U.S. is maybe, having a dialogue with China, a secret one or whatnot, and saying like, look, so we have this. And if you decide to move on Taiwan or whatnot, we're going to use this against you. We're not, because we hope that you're not going to do that to Taiwan or whatnot, or to Russia. And the AI capabilities might also be a tool to maintain sort of balance, geopolitical balance in the world, stability.
Yeah, well,
it's complicated and I cannot formulate it. I'm sorry, not an English speaker.
I kind of get what you're meaning. I know that the science advancements are way bigger than the ones we're reading about, right? And all the science research, it's been there for decades. It's just because ChatGPT was dropped on us suddenly like 2 years ago, right? Everyone got spooked,
that's
right?
Marketing.
But that's more like marketing. And, I think even if they're like sitting on AGI already, they would still, introduce that gradually to the public to some extent, of course, to avoid havoc and revolutions and whatnot. Because if that is true, the world order as we know it can change overnight, and no one would want that because it could mean like wars, and a lot of disasters here.
Yeah, but again, the AGI is a multifaceted concept, isn't it? I mean, it can be used or deployed for military stuff, or it can be deployed for strategic administrative stuff, really, to just organize stuff better around the government apparatus or military apparatus, and then it's really different to what we, or even me, imagined about AGI like having an everyday appearances in our world. I mean, AGI for government, again, it's much more useful in these sort of centralized decision-making processes, not in everyday humans' lives.
Yeah, for sure, but it's not like we are in the middle of 20th century when the best tech was kind of, contained and only the government could have it, right? And, that's where a lot of groundbreaking scientific research was going on in maths and physics and elsewhere. Now we see private companies kind of working on those models, and I guess the U.S. needs to be in dialogue not only with China but with private companies if they don't really want to kind of show everything they have.
Yeah, of course, but then we're talking about the big tech, basically, obviously. So we have frontier models. OpenAI is not a huge company yet, but its valuation is growing every day. So OpenAI, Meta, Google, Amazon, and whatever. NVIDIA is also a big government, but it's actually getting help from the U.S. government. So unless these big companies don't want to be broken off, what's the word? Broken.
Cut off?
No. There's these antitrust cases against governments. You can break up. They want to break up or threaten to break up Google or Meta or whatnot. So unless these companies want to stay in the good books of the government, they have to cooperate with the government. And if they have the latest inventions or tools on their hands, the government is going to want to take a look or maybe use them. And I believe sincerely that's what's happening. And that's not a conspiracy. That's pretty logical in my view.
I think it's quite easy to break up a company and still have control of it all.
Yeah, you can become China.
It's just no. I mean, for the companies, right? They are kind of pretending like that's a big deal, and obviously it's easier to run operations that way. But we've seen so many examples of how company kind of has to sell its business, but then you still find through ties that okay, it's still in the same hands essentially.
Yeah, that's true. So a related a bit of news is that ChatGPT Pro is already available or soon going to be available for $200 per month. So Altman spoke about AGI, and then basically the next day said, yeah, we have this ChatGPT Pro tool that is the most amazing thing.
What does it do?
It allows users access to the most advanced OpenAI tools, the O1 model, GPT-4o, advanced voice, Sora is now available. Finally, so unlimited access, and you can do whatever. It's basically for companies that do engineering stuff that is pretty modern. So again, this is high tier offering, I guess. But that relates to what he's speaking about. I mean, it's all converging, or it relates actually to the Verge's report, because it's all converging into this tool. So yeah, and pretty soon I believe it's gonna happen next year. They're gonna declare something like this is a mini AGI, or so to speak, and we're gonna keep expanding that, and we're gonna offer it to you for $300 or $400 or $1,000 a year.
Will it be AGI or just a marketing term? Because AI is getting old. We'll see.
When do you think AGI is coming?
Sooner than we think, but I think.
Oh, don't be Sam Altman, please.
I am. I think it will be less profound than ChatGPT. I think that's why he's
Is
downplaying.
ChatGPT profound?
Well, it was when it came out. Everybody was like,
Jesus.
"Whoa, what the hell is this?"
It's because humans are stupid. No, I
Correct.
think that's why. It's just a new thing. You're kind of trying to understand that. And
Yeah.
now I understand that, okay, it's actually dumb.
Whoa, it sounds like me, and it knows more things than I do. Well, it's sick. And then,
You are 14, so.
I am 14. Yes.
Okay.
Whenever Neve comes of age, AGI will be here. Is that
Yes.
And
good
4 more
Is
years.
that a good answer?
Yeah.
At least 4 more years.
you should be happy. We'll augment your capabilities.
Yes. Chip me.
So, as we are now aware, this was Neve, and still is, Jurgita,
Still am.
and I'm Gintras. Thank you for listening and watching. See you or hear you next week. Bye.